Hey guys, it's Amelia Singer here on Ameliorate Through Wine, where I pair wine to international guests based on their palate, personality, and personal story. I am thrilled to announce that this podcast is being vigorously propelled by Rothschild Wine Collection from Goodhouse Waddesdon. Now, this really is a name synonymous with a century-old legacy of art and wine craftsmanship. I really couldn't think of a better pairing for this wine and culture podcast. From the early 1920s to the present day, the Rothschilds' profound love for both wine and art has been at the center of their journey. The family's artistic heritage distinguishes the label, often giving a unique story which adds an extra dimension to the exceptional wine. With handcrafted bottles created by inspirational artists, mesmerizing wine cellars, and even the family members themselves designing the labels on the wine bottle. The Rothschilds' timeless commitment to the fusion of wine and art as a legacy to inspire wine enthusiasts and wine connoisseurs alike. For more information, visit goodhousewaddesdon.com. And now, sit back, pour yourself a glass, and enjoy. Hey guys, and welcome to Ameliorate Through Wine. And for today's episode, we have the wonderful Candice Brathwaite, Sunday Times bestselling author, writer of non-fiction as well as young adult fiction, blogger, fashionista, social media queen, and online auntie to many. Now, you have many strands in your life, which is reflected in your work, where you unpack many social cultural topics from mental health, parenting, money, fashion, gender roles, Twilight, Sex and the City, and much more. And through wine, we will discover more about your inspiring and multifaceted story through some hopefully just as inspiring and multifaceted wines. Cheers, Kandise. I am delighted you could join me here today, and I get to wear a bright pink dress in your honor.
You look lovely.
So do you. Oh, thank you so much for coming here today.
No, thanks for coming. And that intro, Twilight.
Sorry, I just had to get that in there. We will be diving more into that. But first, as we always do with the first wine, it's more about your childhood, growing up, how you got into wine. And I thought, I know that you love travel.
Yes.
I know that you love fruity whites.
Yes.
I know that you're very open-minded, actually.
Yeah, very.
To kind of white wines in particular.
Yeah.
So today, we're traveling to Greece.
Oh, I love Greece. Woo.
Great.
Yeah.
And so we're traveling to the peninsula of Peloponnese, which is the southernmost region of the Balkans.
Okay.
And why is that important? It means it gets a lot of sunshine, but as it's peninsula, it means the grapes are also kind of can be chilled during the night, so it's not going to be too big and too fruity. And this is a blend of two native Greek grapes. That's a fun tongue twister. Rhoditis and Moschofilero.
Okay.
Yeah, it just trips off the tongue. I know, cash. We'll be ordering that at my pub. But yeah, no, I'll go on where this came from, but I thought this is fun because I love Greek wine. We don't see much of it. Yeah. It's often great value because no one knows what it is. This should hopefully be a fun.
So do I swish
fruity.
like you do?
Yeah, well, so I wish I could swish midair. I'm actually very accident prone, but I always say the 3 rules to tasting. Yeah. They don't teach this at wine school. But this is Amelia's rules. The first is swirly.
Okay.
I like to use a surface,
right?
Because I'm quite accident prone, and by doing that, you release the flavor compounds because 90% of what you taste is what you smell, which is why you go on from the swirly to the sniffy.
Swirly.
So swirly, and then you can shove your nose right in there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I love this because it's a very aromatic grape, particularly the Moschofilero. And then hopefully maybe you're getting some peaches.
Yeah, very fruity.
Fruity peach, baked pear, that comes from the Rhoditis.
Yeah.
And then to taste, and this is why no one looks good tasting wine as opposed to just drinking it, is you basically want to mimic that swirly motion. That's why no one looks good tasting wine.
Right.
So because the center of your tongue is actually pretty insensitive, so you want to be able to just have a teaspoonful, no more, and you want to roll it around your tongue because actually it's on the sides of your tongue where you'll pick up hopefully some refreshing acidity in this wine.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. But also just another little trick, again to make you look extra attractive when tasting wine is you want to make sure you oxygenate the wine, because while rolling it around your tongue as well as feeling the texture, the acidity, that will help release the flavor onto your palate.
Okay.
So don't worry, this is a safe space. We can do this together.
Okay.
So we've done the swirly,
I don't
swirly.
trust the swirly in the air either. I'm not,
No, it's scary.
No. Okay.
And then you go into the sniffy. Then teaspoonful. Any more than that, you will dribble. I know.
Yeah, I can't do that bit.
I mean, I've practiced slurping for 15 years now, so hope.
Oh my God, but that's very...
But see, it opens up. It's a bit like when you were a kid and you didn't want to taste the medicine. You'd hold your nose and you just go, and you went. By swirling it around, you get to hopefully feel like kind of, it's very juicy, fleshy, kind of, you also, wine, you hopefully get the acidity. Because even though it's got all that fruit, it's got really refreshing acidity coming from those maritime climes. And then, by, again, allowing the flavors to open up, hopefully not only the kind of peaches and pears, you get a kind of like sweet herbal element.
Yeah, it's
floral.
It's way more acidic than I thought it would be.
Gonna be
almost like apple juicy.
Yes,
at the end,
and,
know.
And also, it does have that juicy texture too, which I think you appreciate by swirling it. And I'm a big texture person, so I thought that this is fun on its own. Fun with the various. I know you love Italian foods. We've got Italian meats, cheeses. Vegetable torta, which I did not make earlier. And I just thought this is a fun wine made by the Wine Society. I don't know if you've heard of them.
No.
They're great wines. Like, they've been around since 1874. The label's right there. And you pay £40 and then you have a member for life, and then you have access to these amazing wines.
I think I have heard of them.
It's a really good gift to give someone if they're into wine. And when people ask me about wine clubs, like, oh, I love wine, but I don't know where to get it. And this is £8.99.
Oh, wow.
And it's the Wine Society Greek wine. I know.
Okay.
So, so I thought this was a good...
Because I feel like when you don't know wine, I come from a space where everyone's just like, the more expensive, the better, you know?
But you know this from fashion too.
Very true.
That if you know what to look for, you know where to look. And I often find with wine... Okay, particularly like fashionable areas, it's a bit like, okay, I'm going to get Burgundy or I'm going to get a Napa Cabernet. It's like, okay, I'm going to go for Chanel.
Yeah.
But then either you know where to find kind of vintage, whatever, or you're like, actually, I know that Sandra's doing this, which actually looks very similar.
Yeah.
And that's kind of why I love finding, and I think Greek wines are really unappreciated, but finding these kind of underappreciated wine regions, and grapes reminds me of like finding those buys in fashion.
No, I like that. You've made it all click in my brain. I get it. I get it. You go to the region that the TikTokers have not picked up on yet, and I get it. I get it. I get it.
Well, we're going to be going on to TikTok, but talking about wine first, I'm really curious about your story and where it all began. And I always love to ask people, how did wine and food like really play a part in your life growing up?
So wine and food played a huge part. I was raised by my maternal granddad, so that's my mother's dad. He was mugged violently a couple of months before I was born, so he was written off work for life because he was left blind in one eye. So when my mum wanted to return to work, we were all still living in the same house. He became the primary stay-at-home caregiver. One of my granddad's jobs when he came to this country from Barbados was to be a chef at the Savoy. So he could very much throw down like a mixture of foods, any kinds of foods. But in our house, the staple was West Indian because we are a Bajan, not Barbadian. Everyone hates that. A Bajan household because we're from Barbados. And so I'm talking curry goat and rice.
Spicy?
No.
Not spicy.
And the reason why I say no so confidently is now I'm married to a Nigerian man.
Like, I know that he likes his spice. Yeah.
You know what real spice is like. No offense to my West Indians, we don't really know what spice is. It's a different league, but it was like curried goat, rice and peas. We had a thing called Saturday soup, so a massive pot of chicken soup on a Saturday. There is a traditional Bajan dish called kuku, which I think is made from cassava that I hate. Hate. But on the top layer of kuku, you got a nice bit of flying fish deep fried. Oh, I'd always just rip the fish off. My nan was an excellent baker, so excellent that on the weekends she did weddings, christenings, the whole night.
What?
And I'm talking like 10-tier wedding cakes. And I never really understood how magnificent she was until I was a lot older and I went through her old photo albums. And it's just like these gigantic expertly iced wedding cakes where someone's ordered like a 12-tier cake from her. So my nan would do that on weekends. Now on the first of every month, she had a massive like bucket in the garage, and she'd go into that garage with 2 bottles of rum and just drop 2 bottles of rum into this bucket. Lo and behold, this was a fruit bucket for the Christmas cake.
Oh my gosh.
So December
That's
now,
brilliant.
you are laced, bro. Like I'm 4 and I'm off my face because we've just got like 24 bottles of rum over the course of 12 months in this gorgeous Christmas cake. Now, my family weren't big wine drinkers, although they were like whiskey and rum heads. Our direct next door neighbours were Italian. Delmo and Paula, around the same age as my nan and granddad, and they had like 14 grandkids, one of which was around the same age as me. And so I'd play over there every summer, and it was then that I got introduced to wine, because when they, as a large Italian family, would play up for dinner, it's like, oh, Candice is going to have her own glass of wine. And, you know, at first you're like, and then as the summers go by, it just becomes the most natural thing to do. But also in my own home, alcohol was never like this hidden thing.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, have a sip, you know. So it meant that I got to 16, 18 and just didn't want to go out on the lash because I kind of knew what it tasted like. I wasn't like,
and also you could always have
desperate.
access
Always
to it. I have a European
access.
father and it was the same thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's very much the same in a West Indian household. Like, I would prefer you not to get drunk, but get drunk in my house if that's the vibe we're going with, you know? Like, to sit around and have a whiskey with my granddad now is a very natural thing to do.
Yeah. And it's interesting because you mentioned like the importance of seeing it as a connector and over a family meal.
Yeah,
And I think that's how you enjoy it now.
Yeah,
isn't
it's
it?
never like, and I'm, you know, I'm trying not to judge, but I'm not really a curl up with a bottle by myself kind of girl.
Yeah.
I'm it's a sharing experience kind of vibe. It's having people over, it's having a great meal, and then trying out this bottle of whatever. That's the way it's always been positioned in my mind anyway.
And would there be a certain bottle if you were having friends over, which you and your husband would open up?
Wine, because this is why I was so excited to come on this podcast, because I'm just not wine coded. Like, I find wine to be a very a nerve-wracking arena.
Yeah.
It's so overwhelming.
It's very overwhelming.
I'm just a bit like, I don't know. I know I prefer like white to red. Do you know what I mean? Like, but I don't know anything. And I feel like if you don't know anything, it's just a space that you don't explore much.
See, I know that you want to bring money into schools. I would love to bring wine education into schools, but I don't think that'll be allowed anytime soon.
Honestly, it just it feels very upper class. And it can feel very exclusive.
And elitist.
Yeah.
And that's why I wanted to go into it, because having a European father, I was tasting it from age 6.
Yeah.
And there wasn't this rule that like you can only drink wines from this place or whatever.
Yeah.
He traveled a lot and we try wines from everywhere. But I think the Europeans on the continent have a really like much more positive.
Yes.
And you know, wine is meant to be a life enhancer. So I would get really upset because I kind of saw in this country, definitely 15 years ago when I went into wine, it was either seen as this very elitist, you had to come from a certain background, or let's get 3 bottles of Jacob's Creek for £10 now. I mean, now in today's cost of living crisis, sadly no more. But joke, guys. And I was like, no, there's this middle way where like it's about like bringing people together with lovely food. And it's like all life enhancers, like music or like anything.
Exactly. And so that's how I learnt about it from my great Italian neighbours, to be honest.
And why should no one ever send you bubbles?
Oh my gosh, because I just...
Because you say that you get sent a lot of bubbles in the post.
I get sent so much bubbles, and I'm just not myself. Like, I just become this whole other being. I guess it will be part of my wine confessional. But I remember the exact night that I was like, I'm never doing this again. Like, I'm never doing this again.
Caveat, bubbles. Bubbles. This is not taken out of context.
The bubbles literally go to my head, and I just get... I don't enjoy feeling drunk.
Yeah.
I don't enjoy feeling
You
out
like to
of
be
control.
in control. Yeah.
And
I'm
bubbles
the same.
take me out of that place very, very quickly.
No, that's fair. And also I remember I was like talking and you said that like in the 90s, you said that in your Black community, everyone was really gravitating towards rosé.
Oh my God, rosé. Rosé killed my community.
why? Was it really?
Rosé killed the community. It was all anyone would talk about or drink. It felt very trend-led. And it not just rosé. We were in a rosé, alizé kind of time. The drinks were very sugary, very girly.
Cosmos. Sex and the City, though, kind of has something.
I know, but I'm just like, and rosé, I learned that rosé gives me UTIs.
Really?
Right? Go figure. Rosé,
I'm going to have to Google
time
this.
and time. Oh.
Oh.
I was like, you too. I met someone. Rosé time and time again gives me an infect. I'm just like, there's something about it that I just don't get on with. So no. But I remember though, do you know what? When I was really young, a drink called Baby Sham. Now, Baby Sham was only coming out at Christmas. A good old baby. I did like,
that was around. That was so around. I mean, would you say that now wine seems a bit more inclusive and
absolutely. And you know, there are a lot of things we shouldn't thank social media for, but breaking down those barriers and making areas that have always felt elitist or as if they belong to one kind of person, social media has like knock the door off that. Do you know what I mean? I can literally just type in black woman drinking wine, or do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And be met with my own reflection who knows so much more about it. Yeah.
Final question for this first wine, just because you've mentioned how you were brought up with wine. You have 2 children now. Remind me of their ages.
So RJ is 6. Esme is 10 and my stepdaughter is 15. So like 15. Everyone's, I'm at every single juncture. Of all my children, Esme is the one that if there's like a half drunk glass, she will just down it. or she'll like shake it at me first. She'll be like, then just be like, ooh. And so I'm in no way like overprotective. Of course, I don't want you to get drunk. But much like how wine was introduced to me, I'm like, as long as you're in a safe space, try
things.
it.
And it's a safe space.
You know what I mean? Also,
and it's a positive association.
Very positive. Too. And maybe because I'm first gen of her kind of lifestyle, but she does go to like a fancy pants private school where wine is part of the conversation more often than not. And so there is a part of me that's like, actually try that thing so that, you know, when you're in a situation with your peers, you don't feel like the one that's left out or like you don't know what's going on, or the one that feels like they have to drink 10 bottles to prove a point. You know? So yeah.
That seems very sage advice and leads very nicely into the next section. Yay! So, the second wine always is normally linked to someone's career trajectory and whatever, but yours has several strands, which I love. You have a very, very multifaceted narrative. So I had to find a wine, which is a blend. It wouldn't just be made from one grape. It'd be a blend of several to make it harmonious. I also wanted to go for a wine because I remember you saying like if there was like something which kind of described you, like you always talk about resilience and a kind of unexpected hit and that kind of thing. Yeah. So I'm bringing us to a style which is now being appreciated more, even though actually it's probably one of the most prized and rare
love that.
styles from France. So we're going to Châteauneuf-du-Pape. Everyone, well, not everyone, but quite a lot of people have heard of Châteauneuf-du-Pape or wines from the Rhône, like Côte de Rhône. Okay. But normally if you say that region, people think of red because only 7% of production is white.
Wow, okay.
And the blends made from that region are some of the like lushest, richest, able to evolve for a long time. And I'll actually say there's sometimes wines which can't be appreciated straight away and they really come into their own several years on. And I know that particularly with your career too. It wasn't an overnight thing. Babe. Actually, normally nothing. I don't trust people who are overnight sensations. Yeah. So I wanted, to go for a white Châteauneuf-du-Pape. Okay. And I just think it's a really amazing style. And it's kind of like a little secret of mine. And it's often quite good value compared to the red equivalents. Because again, people don't realize and then they get hooked.
Okay.
So we'll do the slurpy, slurpy, sniffy, sniffy.
Oh, that's a bit of me. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We're going richer, we're going fuller.
And look at me just glugging more. Sorry, I'll be back.
No, I know that you like your fruit. And I love this because I think when people think, like the reds from this region, they tend to be very high in alcohol, lots of oak, whatever. And actually, because of the blend, like every good person who has a multifaceted life, all those strands create a harmony. So this is a blend of Grenache Blanc, which gives it the body and the power.
Yeah.
It has a little bit of Beaublanc, which gives it the acidity.
Yeah.
And it has a little bit of Claret, which gives it a lovely kind of floral perfume. So hopefully,
it's
you are getting
delicious.
like kind of rich stone fruits and that kind of thing.
And it's quite heavy on the chest. Like, I don't know how to describe these things, but I feel like a heavy warmth around here.
I mean, this is for the body, but it's only 13.5% alcohol, which is not too bad.
Yeah.
You can, particularly in today's climate change. But I know it is like, it's really succulent and
delicious.
And golden in color. So yeah, this is, we had the Wine Society for the first wine. I also love to support independents, and my friends have this great independent wine shop called Full Glass and Swigget. So it's quite clever. And so they have 2 physical stores, and then you can buy online. And this is the Bosque de Pape, Chateauneuf de Pape white. It's not cheap. It's £37.50.
Okay, but it's not,
But it's not cray. And actually, I think this is 2022. But this wine, as I say, this could easily age for another 8 to 10 years.
Wow.
And I also think I wanted to prove that often people think of red wine as only red wine can age and evolve. But actually white wine, particularly complex wines like this. Yeah.
That was lovely.
Oh, I'm so glad. So creates harmony. And so when I'm thinking about your strands, I guess like one major strand for you was parenting. What is parenting?
Yes.
And with your blog, and then of course your best-selling, Sunday best-selling books, Sister, and also you had your I'm Not Your Baby Mama first in 2020.
Sister, Cuts Both Ways.
Cuts Both Ways.
Manifesto coming out later. Yeah.
We're going to talk about Manifesto. Don't you worry. But in terms of the parenting strand, I was like, so you're writing a lot during lockdown too.
Yeah.
Would there be any advice now that obviously the fear of COVID is still here, but lockdown is not? Would there be any advice which you say is slightly different to what you're saying to parents? Or what would you say to parents like going back to work now and having to kind of adjust?
Do you know what I'd say now? This sounds so hypocritical, but I trust me when I say I do it in my own home. Reduce your child's access to the internet as much as possible. My daughter doesn't get free access to the internet. My 10-year-old has no app she can access on any of her devices.
She has a phone and she can call you and text you.
Her phone, she can call 3 people: 4, Auntie Remy, Mum, Dad, and her best friend Taylor. Her phone cannot dial out to any other people except 999. Her phone can be used for Netflix and like a music app in transit, but she cannot freely surf the internet. If she wants to access the internet for school, she does it in the family office with the screen facing out. I have had some issues that I won't get into that have made me this strict, but it's in doing so that I want to be so public about my intent. Stranger danger is not someone on the street anymore. It's billions of faceless accounts online. And you just do not know what your child is getting up to. RJ's too young to have access to the internet. He might want to watch something, say, on one of the TV apps, but there's a certain app he gets no. Like, I'm just like, no. And I know people are like, oh my gosh, but most of your life and work is on the internet. Unfortunately, that's just part and parcel of our working world. And also, one of my biggest goals is the day you type Candice Brathwaite into a social app and you can't find me, have a glass of wine, because I've made it. It's a huge goal for me to just delete my entire digital footprint. I think the next phase...
I find that really refreshing, because it makes me be like, oh, I love this. Who really loves doing this year after year, day after day?
And I also think the next luxury is privacy. You know, when we think about what are going to be sold as luxurious things, the next luxurious thing to market is going to be privacy. And those of us that have accrued certain wealth or a certain status, we are going to parade privacy as like a golden badge of honor, because I think we've all overdone it a bit. We've girl bossed a bit too close to the sun. Everyone's been chronically online for almost 20 years, and it's frying our brains.
Has it been 20 years?
It's been 20 years. Yeah, I remember dial-up. So it's been 20, Like, and the thing is, I'm here because it's part and parcel of the work I do.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I like to make the moments I'm here joyful, and I want to enjoy them. But do I wake up with this urge to be like chronically present or like be a slave to the out? No, I hate it. I hate virality. I hate TikTok. I hate this idea that, you know, an 18-year-old is more worthy because a video's had 20 million views than a 70-year-old who was grafted away at their, I don't know, tree cutting career for the last 5 decades. I just think we're on a slippery slope to digital hell. Sorry.
Cheers to that. I could not have put it better myself. I mean, I do love podcasts. Like, this is why I love podcasts. Like longer form.
I love the strands of the internet
and you have a podcast as well
that we can glean education from, and we feel like we're part of a community. But unfortunately, the negativity has just done such a number, and you know, I see, and again, no judgment, I see 10-year-old girls doing get ready with me's now on the internet, right? And they're so cute. I love them. Then there's a 40-year-old man in the comment section like, you're so ugly, go kill yourself. No one needs that. I, as an almost 40-year-old woman, could not see that day on day on day. When, like, the aliens suck us up in a huge straw and they crack open our brains, what's gonna be of that 10-year-old's brain when she's been open to such negativity at such a, you know, a time in her life where she should be thinking other things, and now she's obsessed with what the world thinks about her and how she's being perceived and how she could be better or prettier or less ugly. Yeah.
How will you monitor it then when Esme gets a bit older?
So I told her when she's 16 we can have a conversation.
Okay.
And guess what? She is a sneaky little thing. No, I'm trying to change my language. She's innovative. She's not sneaky. She's a leader of innovation, darling. That's what you are if you listen to this. And you should be a CEO. Because with her best friend, and I didn't know about this, and this is why you've got to stay on top of your kids, because they do know more than you in that area. They always know more than you. You can share screens now via FaceTime. I didn't know that. So her mate gets on the apps, shares the screen, and does the scrolling for Esme.
No! Oh my God. Very innovative. Very innovative.
She does so Esme still knows what the trends are or what new song is like popping, because her mate is like, I know your band, let me help you out. And that's why I say you've got to keep your eyes open, because there are other ways they will. And you know what? When I saw that, of course, my initial reaction was to like tell her off and shut it down. But I was like, you know what? I rate the innovation. And I also understand the peer pressure of not having access to these things at certain ages.
And you don't want to be left behind.
I don't want to completely cut you out. So you know what? You're with Taylor. The phone's always on loudspeaker. Her parents are always in the background, whatever. But for my 10-year-old to just pick up her phone every day and be plugged in, absolutely not.
Now, I mean, I don't have kids, but I can only imagine I could get having the same headaches. I mean, and that's the thing. Like, I think for all the kind of negatives, actually positives for creative people and multifaceted people like yourself, it's been amazing. Because I mean, I know that when you've always been interested in writing, but when you went to publishers, they were like, well, you need to have 1 million followers before.
They were like, oh, you're a great writer, but you need a bigger social media following.
And from your blogging, social media work, that then allowed you to then write nonfiction, and it also allowed you to express your other interests too, like fashion.
I'm so grateful for it, but I also think I came to building an online audience at a time where I knew what I didn't have to prove and who I wanted to be.
Right.
Having a career that has grown part and parcel because of the internet, and in that internet space has only encouraged those feelings, you know? Yeah. Because if I have to show up in this space where I don't know, and let's be really real, a woman like me, if someone's going to call me the N-word on any given Tuesday, I better want to be here. Do you know what I mean? I better be enjoying what I'm doing if that's going to be one of the risks. Because the risk doing a normal 9 to 5 or just walking down the road, they're a lot lower.
Yeah.
But the second you get on the internet and people have faceless accounts, the risk is through the roof. So why would I stay in a space where I could be subject to so much hate and abuse just because I'm like, oh, algorithm, like me, please? No. I think that is an age thing. That's also like you having to work, and as it's not an overnight thing, you know what matters most to you. I mean, how would you like say to others who are hoping to carve careers out for themselves, maybe wanting to be writers, maybe want to get into fashion, maybe wanting podcasts? How do you get that kind of that borderline between being transparent enough and allowing people in, and you're naturally a very warm, engaging person,
but also allowing you to have that privacy.
You've got to set your boundaries, and you've also got to, I always think, and for what? So I'm going to share this thing. Okay, cool. Let's work. I walk it through in my brain. And for what? Whose privacy is being invaded? Like, if I get to the end of my thought process and I'm not changing or saving lives, it's not even a content strand. It's not up for conversation, because the and for what makes it worthless. And I'm saying this as someone who in the early years thought I had to overshare in order to be deemed. You know what? I hate this thing. Oh, she's not authentic.
That word is so inauthentic.
And it's always she, because they don't care about the boys.
No.
She's not authentic because she's not showing us. And they're just going to want more and more and more and more. So you need to set your boundaries from the start. And you know what? Your real life friends, remind them to call you out on a thing. Because it's very easy to get lost in the sauce and be like, oh my gosh, but when I spoke about, I don't know, the time I broke my coccyx, it went viral. Woo, yeah. Your friend needs to look at you and no, that, you know, that went past your boundary. Like, don't let these likes of these strangers fool you. And also think about your end plan, your exit plan. My true worry with a lot of young people now accessing the internet is how I think they've been tricked into believing going viral is going to change their life in a sustainable way. And so then they just get addicted to that next hit and that next hit. And then we see this ultimate crash in their self-confidence and self-worth when these videos don't do the numbers. Or when there's a hot new influencer just, you know, taking all
it's
of
yet
their
another
attention.
addiction. It's like they may not be drinking, they may not be smoking, but actually
Also,
this is just as,
If there was any version of like robbery that was cute, the robbery of entering the internet, taking all you want and pissing off is the best thing. Like, don't be lingering, waiting for the internet police to come and get you and, you know, you're in clinks and then your life's a mess. What have you come here to do? What have you come here to gain? Once you've done that, find a way to exit. And that doesn't mean you need to like delete your digital footprint, but step back and be like, I don't actually need to do that anymore because I came into this space and got all I wanted to get.
What would you advise young writers? I'm just thinking of writers in particular. My sister's writer, you know, you adore writing and like, that's always been like a number one love. What would you say to them in this world?
I would say this is so saccharine, but don't give up, because again, I was told you don't have the followers, so we're not going to publish you. And it's like, there are so many entries to market now. Don't let even 5 people telling you no that it's not going to be a thing. Also, make evergreen work. When we think about titles like One Day. Stop trying to make work that's gonna hit the moment and try and
just be a meme.
Do you know what I mean? Write evergreen work that is just going to consistently change people's lives for generations. I recently had the joy of sitting down with an author called Taylor Jenkins Reid, whom I didn't know before the conversation, but she's like the Beyonce of the fiction space.
Oh, wow.
Millions of copies sold. Interestingly, the book that has shot her to her most fame and notoriety came out in 2017, but it didn't do the rounds and stay on, I think, the New York and the Sunday Times bestseller list for 22 weeks in a row until 2021, when Book Talk found it.
Oh, Book Talk.
And sent it. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, also, don't get despondent if your work isn't received as you want immediately. Good books just do this little hum. It's like hum, hum, hum. And some of the work I love now, like the Bell Hooks and the James Baldwins, they never saw their work come to its full glory.
A lot.
And now their work stays on certain lists because that hum just got louder. So it's like, to be a writer is truly a labor of love. Because I'm going to be factual. You might not even be alive to hear the loudest hum. And to actually have to sit with that and then think, I'm still going to do this, it was literally what you were born to do. So you just have to get on with it, unfortunately. Because I wish I could turn it off.
Yeah, I mean, you're lucky that you can express it in a variety of ways creatively. And actually, I would say your expression of fashion is a wonderful creative outlet for you, and what you've done with that and how you use it to express yourself personally and professionally. I mean, have you always been interested in fashion?
Always.
Always.
Do you know what? Always been interested. I just never had money. I was piss poor, which isn't to say you can't have, it's just harder. And this is another thing, because I'll have a 20-year-old come up to me and be like, you've got such great style. How did you do that? I'm like, honey, I'm 20 years older than you. That's how I did that. I now have a little bit more padding in the cash area that allows me to, but I don't like chatting shit to people. This isn't to say you can't be stylish, but it's also like the style you're seeing through me has come through being able to accrue certain things that take actual funds. But I was also like, I'm the child of like an immigrant family. And one thing my granddad always used to say is, if you don't have a pound in your pocket, no one should know it. And that was his answer, though, funnily enough.
No, my pals are also that family.
It was his answer to racism, because he was like, when I came to England and I couldn't get a job, I usually lucked out because I had a clean 3-piece suit. And so whilst I was still a black guy, I was a black guy in a 3-piece suit. And it was usually that tipped me over the edge. So this thing in our community of always having your Sunday best, clothes were like our first weapon, our first barrier to any harsh treatments or judgment. And I think me not having to do so, it still bled into me. And like watching my nan actually was just so brilliant with her hands, beautiful seamstress, and to watch her bead things or to be excited about the next Christmas jumper, it's like there was an investment in the way you looked, because it could make or break if you got a job. And so now it's filtered down and I don't have to do that so much, but it is play. It is joyful play.
What do you think of fast fashion?
Okay, so my thoughts on fast fashion, those who demonize it the most have never had to depend on it. So we need to be very, very careful. Okay?
Yeah.
Not everyone can afford a £200 t-shirt. And I will tell you, as someone who came up on next to nothing, one of my H&M coats lasted me like 14 years, to the point when I'd put pounds in my pocket, it would fall down to the end of the lining.
Oh, I've
kind of had to like fight the pound back up to the pocket. So it's about striking that balance. We can't do without it completely, because there will be a large portion of us that will be absolutely naked, because it's all we can afford. And I've learned that fast fashion, its fastness is dependent upon the consumer. It's dependent upon the consumer. How do you care for this article? How long are you going to have it? Do you know? How long are you going to have it with you? And so I'm very middle of the road with that. I will never just jump on this bandwagon, even though I can afford to shop more luxuriously, because even that's up for question right now. But anyway, more luxuriously, and just go, anyone that entertains fast fashion, oh my gosh, you're so awful. No, there are reasons to this, and everything is rooted in capitalism. I think the question should be, how are we caring for our clothes? How are we styling, and what's the longevity behind the wearing? One thing that I know I do with my fashion content, and I do it purposefully, is I rewear my clothes time and time and time again. And people comment, they're like, oh my gosh, it's so cool to see you rewear an outfit. And I laugh, because I'm like, when did we get here? That is cool.
Yeah.
So you think because this is a digital screen that I'm just going to constantly purchase or get rid of to entertain you? But people do that. And that's what's made this overconsumption so terrible. There are fashion content creators who won't be seen dead in the same outfit twice. Or they think in order to be viral or retain those likes, they always need to be pushing something new. And I'm not into that. I think the coolest thing you could do is like wear one pair of jeans for a year and show me how you can style it 365 ways.
Yeah, I mean, surely that's way more creative, authentic, and also it's not being tone deaf to the current economic situation. And speaking of like tone deaf, like, I mean, you're huge in fashion and media and being a very prominent voice. I mean, how would you say that you can you leverage your platform to really encourage body inclusivity, diversity?
Oh, do you know how I'm always naked? Woo.
I love it. I was like, no, but like I actually woke up this morning and I was like, oh, okay. I love that bra. That's colourful. Okay, I'll bring out my colourful dress.
I ran into like this older black woman a couple of weeks ago, and she was like, do you not find it strange that I know what colour bra you're wearing? I was like, no. Also, I see my body as very body neutral, and I think appearing some ways within the guidelines, it just allows people to get a little bit freer. Because also when I started my Get Ready With Me's, it was like, oh my gosh, that's your bra. Surely only your husband should see that. Are we in the 1800s? Girl, get off my page.
Actually, it's amazing you're wearing a bra. I mean, lots of people aren't even doing that anymore.
Oh no, someone will be like, I'll be in my gym gear, and someone will be like, must your nipples always be erect? I don't know. Ask them, ask the wind. Like, do you know what I mean? And so that is my just showing up. And another thing I do, and a lot of women who have had kids message me about this, is I never alter my stretch marks. I love.
Do a lot of people do that?
People live and die by that Paris filter, babe. And I'm just like, I get off that treadmill and sweat is dripping in my actual eye. And like, you can see all my stretch marks. And I'm like, I'm not going to filter that, and I'm not going to apologize for it. Because I actually think we have a duty to undo the AI-ness of women's bodies. The more people get to interact with how many versions of a female body is out there, the more we can start to undo the harm in the system.
Like, it used to be porn that was the harm, and now I actually think it's AI.
It's AI, and it's like these beauty filters and children, again, the 10-year-olds doing the Get Ready With Me's, not understanding that what they're seeing isn't real. So if 10 swipes down, you're going to be met with my stretch marks. Love that for me. Love that for you, because this is real, you know? Yeah.
Okay, before we wrap up this section and go into the next, I personally, like, being single, this like question is like, resonates a lot.
Yeah.
You seem to have like a genuine, really incredible partnership with your husband.
Yeah.
You are legitimately a team.
Yeah.
But it's a view of marriage which we often don't see being peddled that much. I mean, do you think these kind of dynamics are becoming more visible in media, and that the full context of what lies behind the term a powerhouse woman, are we seeing it being explored more deeply? And like, please explain to people who don't follow you on social media and who haven't read your books, how your partnership works with your husband.
So I've been with my husband 12 years, and I get a lot of single women being like, oh, how did you get a guy like that? I'm like, I didn't want him. I rejected him loads of times.
Really?
I was like, get out of my face. Like,
that wasn't in the book?
No, is that not in Sister? One day.
Okay. No, in that book. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Stood at like downstairs from the window of the flat I was staying in, and he threw stones at my window. It was like very Shakespeare. And I've lifted up this window and I've been like, won't you fuck off? Like, I was very like, I'm selfish. I'm in my me era. I don't want this. And I think that changed the game in terms of my relationships, because prior to that, not in a metaphorical sense, I would have been the one throwing stones at the window.
Yeah.
And to be in a relationship where someone wanted me so badly, and I was like, no, I'm not ready. I think that's what made the difference. Anyway, when we got together initially, it was really traditional. We both went to work. Then I stopped working. He made more, yada, yada, yada. Then it got to a point in my career, and I remember this so distinctly. I was meant to interview Giovanna at the Royal Albert Hall. I was on the school run. He was driving home from work. He got in like really bad traffic. A rainstorm opened, and it was so bad that I'm soaked through to my knickers. Esme's soaked through to her underwear. RJ's baby grow is and my car is due in 15 minutes to take me to go and do this interview.
Yeah. And
last minute I have to pull out of what at the moment felt like a game-changing gig. And I remember calling him and being like, you beep, beep, beep. Like, you're messing this all up for me. And more to the point, you're messing this up for the household based on your idea of masculinity. Like, what I'm doing actually makes more money. And here I am, soaked to my knickers, and you're stuck on the M1. How's that going for you? Blah, blah, blah. Up until that point, he had really tried to maintain his great job because, like, that's what men do.
Or that's what they've been told.
They work and they provide in that way.
Yeah.
But we just got to a career point where we were at a standstill because we were like doing tug of war in a way that just made no sense to me. I was like, if what I do can out-earn what we both do, why do I feel like I'm being burdened in that mum area trying to make this work? Because if the roles were reversed, a woman would stand down. Yeah,
without question.
I'm going to need you to stand the fuck down. This did not happen immediately, but then in comes the pandemic where everyone's forced to stand down. Okay. Now he's at home.
And reassess.
Right? Doing a job role that he didn't initially sign up for and now really hating his job. And every day we're breaking out some liquor and I'm looking at him like, well, do you know what I mean? And in the middle of the pandemic, I think it was July, he officially resigned from work. And first and foremost, he became a stay-at-home dad, so we can work that out. And then within the last 6 months, he's officially taken on the role as my manager. And I have to say, hands down, it is a job that he was born to do. Wow. But it took...
But you never imagined that.
Oh, never.
Like
I saw it in him. I saw it in him before he saw it in himself.
Yeah.
But it just took so much prodding because of what patriarchy does, because of what society says. And he's Nigerian. Hell no. Like, I'm not the one I'm not going to be a stay-at-home dad. Are you crazy? So having to like unravel that over the years has been so intense. Now, let me tell you, he's in every parent WhatsApp chat. He knows what days the kids have hockey, rugby, all the things. We recently had a birthday party for my 6-year-old son, and every parent walked into that venue and walked straight past me because they didn't know who I am. And there was a moment when I had to gather 20 adults and be like, so hi guys, I'm Rich's mum. Nice to meet ya. He's been going there for years. But that is where Bode shines brightest. And this is where I shine brightest. And if there is nothing more I want for young women is to get in partnerships where people allow you to shine. And I think my privilege was, though, is that, remember, I was raised by a man.
Yeah. I was going to say,
full set.
And you've always seen women who go out
to work.
Yeah.
So it's just a full circle life. And like, to some degree, my granddad was like, let my wife shine. So that's the thing.
I love that. I find that the most romantic thing. On that romantic note, before I get too swept away in a reverie, I'll bring out the next wine. So we're moving on.
Yeah.
To wine number 3, which is a red wine. And I know that you feel that you drink probably whites more.
Yes, definitely.
But I feel like with this next chapter in your life, and I'm very excited about this next chapter for you, this new book, Manifest, this new chapter in your life of very much leaning into manifestation, spirituality. I needed to have a wine which was soulful.
Yes.
It's made by a winery called Burn Cottage, and it's called Moonlight Races. Oh, wow. And it's a Pinot Noir from Central Otago, which is known for kind of very layered, spicy, deep Pinot Noir. So there'll hopefully be lots of fruit there, but a lot of floral spice. And what I love about this winery is everything is made biodynamically. And what I mean by that is they actually they have a kind of calendar based on the moon cycles, and everything they do in the winery, from the kind of when they plant, when they put in the kind of like they make their own kind of harvest feed and everything like that, and because they also believe in biodiversity, so they have lots of other living things and flora and fauna amongst the vines, and they'll only pick on certain days, and actually if you follow the biodynamic calendar, on certain days wines actually taste better, like on fruit days. I deliberately did not look at the biodynamic calendar today because I can't get freaked out, but I do have an app on my phone. But I was like, if it's a root day, which is when you're meant to be tending the soils and coming up with compost for the soils, then there's nothing I can do about it. But so they're big proponents. So the first, it's run by a husband and wife team, which I, again, like, and actually the previous one we had was also run by a wonderful husband and wife team, like you and your husband. And they work with an American wine producer who makes amazing Pinot in California, Ted Lemon from Literary. And actually, I know that you've also written kind of young adult fiction, and you do quite like fantasy. And if you look at the label, it's quite interesting. I have to make sure that I get all my dates and references right, so excuse the notes. So basically, The Green Snake and the Beautiful Lily is a fairy tale by Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, or Goethe probably. Never know how to pronounce that name. Published in 1795 in Friedrich Schiller's German magazine. And basically, this label here, it portrays in imaginative form Goethe's impressions of Schiller's letters on the aesthetic education of man. Wow. And so the story revolves around the crossing, like if you see at the center, there's like a moon. Yes. And the story revolves around the crossing and bridging of a river, which represents the divide between the outer life of the senses. Wow. and the ideal aspirations of human being.
Yeah.
And so this whole story is about combining the ideal human being, which is, everyone working with their ideal human being inside and everyone with outer life experiences, and the two working in harmony. And that if this can be achieved, then the human will become complete and fulfill his destiny. So the proponent for biodynamic winemaking, this guy called Rudolf Steiner in the 1930s, informs his life work, including biodynamics. And so therefore, linking this up to spirituality and kind of the work which you're really interested in now, his belief was the practice of biodynamics can be seen as an undertaking of the ideal human being, working towards a better way with long-term solutions to existing problems. Biodynamics is a practice of the ideal human, as this approach is in contrast to the short-term economic gain approach of chemical fertilization.
Wow.
So everything's about minimal intervention, working with the land, this very pantheistic view of the world, and allowing the inner and the outer to work in harmony. So hopefully, yes, again, from Phil Glass and Swiggett. So yeah, hopefully you get the spice.
Yes.
And I don't know if you get any flowers. I don't know if you're big into perfume, but it's quite floral too.
Floral. I get the floral.
And the spice. I can get orange peel.
Almost in a weird way, mulled wine.
Yeah, you're right. It's that mulled
winey,
dark plum and dark cherries. Absolutely.
Mulled winey.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
No, and for me, it is like a meditation wine. I could just contemplate.
It's a sleepy wine.
Yeah.
It is a sleep.
Or like the deep chat wine.
Deep chat. Oh, I love a deep chat wine.
This is a deep chat, which I think is probably appropriate then.
Yes.
For this next session. I'm so glad you like it. It's about £45, but again, it's biodynamic. It's way more intensive, labor intensive, and they are probably one of the top wineries in New Zealand from Central Otago. But it's stunning. So with your next book, Manifest, which is coming out when in 2024?
So it's going to be out September 8th, but you can pre-order now. And this is sleepy one because I need to close my eyes to say that. And it's called Manifest O. The O's going to be in brackets. Unlock the life you deserve. I'm very excited about it.
I am super excited.
Because you're woo-woo too.
I am very... Yeah. No, I know, spot the tarot cards in the corner. No, I am very, very woo. And I do believe to have full connection with the outside and the external, and actually to know how to harness that, you need to know yourself from inside.
Yes.
So I can't wait. I need to pre-order this book, and I will. But what made you decide after everything, you've done so much, what made you now really want to lean into this strand of your life?
Do you know what? To some degree, I am allowed to, because I've proven myself to be a success in other areas. I feel like women of all races don't get to do what we really want to do until we've built up a track record.
Totally.
And then it's like, I actually want to have fun now. Also, as someone who has really been dabbling manifesting for, say, the last 7 to 8 years, I had to recognize that all of my teachings were by people that already occupied a privilege that made manifesting easier. Hear me out. If you live in a body that isn't subject to, I don't know, police brutality or racism, you are genetically coded to think the world has your back, which therefore makes manifesting easier. Because the idea is
such a good
the
point.
Universe has my back, I've got it all going on for me. What happens to people who maybe race, class, disability, they don't see the world as having their back? It's really hard to just rock up to them and be like, you should try this meditation and banging these crystals because, it's all going to work out for you. Yeah, sure. The world never says it does. And so I wanted to write a book that talks about manifesting from the blocks behind the start line.
Yeah.
You're not even at the start line, sweetie. So this is going to take more work and more undoing and unraveling, because I don't want to use that word, but you live in a body that the world doesn't say we love you and we respect you and we're going to see you as number one. What does it mean to manifest through a physical embodiment like that? That's the burning question.
And how much so, I guess, even if manifestation wasn't an immediate accessible outlet for people. You do mention in your books that it's actually a lot of spiritual heritage.
A
and how you're brought up.
lot.
Yeah.
And so like, I don't typically talk about it online because there's such a thin line between the conversation being, the comment section being drowned in this drivel of, oh my God, witchcraft. And it's like, no, these are just the spiritual things I've been taught where I'm from. And this is how we quote unquote praise the ancestors. And this is not just typical to Bajans or Jamaicans.
Yeah.
Nigerians have their own way of doing it. And if you want to have fun and go down to New Orleans, you go for it, babe. But this is what we do as Black people who are deeply believing in there being more than us and things being outside of us and us not ending with this physical form.
Yeah.
So like I have a quote unquote ancestral altar. Everyone's altar looks different.
I was going to say, yeah, what
but
do you
on
do?
it is a picture of my dad, who I believe is my primary ancestor. And like I light a candle every day, or some people leave fruit out or money out. But it's just a way to keep that kind of connection alive. And also to... I like to tell him that he has access to my life. And for a long time, he didn't. When my dad first died, I was very vocal. I was like, I don't want you here. Leave me alone.
And you were only 21.
I was 21. I was like, do not show up in any dreams. I don't want to hear your shit. Just you stay there. And then as I became more mature spiritually, I was like, oh, mate, I need your help. Come on through, Dad. I don't know what's going on here. And it's just, I feel that connection and I don't feel like I need to prove that to anyone. Anytime I feel like my back's up against the wall, he will send a sign or show himself in a way that allows me to believe, okay, there are forces outside and bigger than me who are helping me get things done. It's really real to me, but it's also very comforting.
I love. And so as well as that, would you say there's any other kind of rituals or practices which you now incorporate more than you did in the past?
Meditation is like a non-negotiable, the same way now like working out 5 times a week is non-negotiable. Meditation, because it's the only true way I can hear myself. And sometimes I even hear myself in a way that I don't like jealousy may come up. And I love a bit of jealousy, you know. I think we have been incorrectly taught to fear jealousy. Trust me, guys, you cannot be jealous of something you don't want. You just can't. And so jealousy for me now is like a marker in the sand of like, oh, I'd like a bit of that. Instead of just like leaning into this negative thing of like, oh, I can't stand her. Why can't you stand her? Let's go deeper. Let's go deeper. And it always ends up being, it's because you want some of that and you feel like you can't have it. And as that tree grows, it just comes up as jealousy. But jealousy for me now isn't an emotional feeling to fear. It's like you're never jealous of something you don't want a piece of. So now you know you're jealous of that. How can you get better at getting some of that so you don't feel jealous? And usually my jealousy comes to a head in meditation. I use crystals. I use a Reiki healer. I see a Reiki healer once a month. She's been very helpful. And of course, go and see an actual GP for any and everything. Yeah. But there are spiritual practices that I think have helped my ailments, so to speak, in a different but also a very necessary way.
Well, I think anything which I guess helps you to be in tune and to listen to your body.
Listen to your body. And you know, these things, okay, even if you don't believe in the spiritual or whatever, as people will say, just learning to listen to your body or to know when things are out of whack. Like, I've recently finally went to see my doctor because I'm like, oh, I'm perimenopausal. And he was like, you're far too young. No, so all the tests we've done, I'm perimenopausal. And I knew that. The night sweats, the mood swings, like the other personal changes. I was like, listen, something. And I just knew that inside myself. There was a great content creator I followed, and unfortunately she didn't listen to herself. And by the time she got diagnosed correctly, it was stage 4 ovarian cancer, and she died within 3 months. But she knew something was off. And also she recorded this whole process. Like, there is an online diary of her being like, I fainted today, or, you know, I've been bleeding for 2 weeks. So it's like my spirituality also helps support that, being like, something's not right and this is how I can perhaps fix it in the real world. But it is of great comfort to me. Yeah.
Not to be a Debbie Downer.
Yeah.
Because, like, I completely agree with everything you say. I just really like you. And so this is something which I am just slightly nervous about. there's like bullying and, online, and you've already unfortunately had to experience some in the very inflammatory mummy world.
Yeah.
When you get into the woo-woo world,
Oh,
how do you feel about entering that camp?
And you know what's so crazy? And I know there were people that will even be annoyed at me for admitting this to you because you're a white woman, but we should be able to tell the truth anywhere. I get the most bullying from black people talking about spirituality.
Really?
Because for whatever reason, they are severely indoctrinated in white Christianity. White Western Christianity is the hill they want to die on. So the minute I say crystal, they're like, that's of the devil. You need to be rebuked. You need some holy water, sister.
Where's the sage?
I'm just like, okay. And I kind of just let it play out because everyone's entitled to their own opinions. I'm very boundaried online, and there's like keyword blockers on every social media app. So if someone's bullying you with a certain word, you can block it so that you never see their comment. You don't have to block the person, but you can also restrict them. So I go on multiple blocking sprees, and because literally I'm not going to let you tarnish my vibe. But I do understand how many people in my community are still clinging to different versions of religion for whatever reason. And whilst I don't want to talk them out of it, it's imperative that you don't talk me out of what I'm doing.
And also, why can't they coexist harmoniously?
And they actually do.
I think they work perfectly.
They work and it's just like we may have a different way of doing it or a different way of saying a thing or naming a thing, but it is all this belief that we are not the only thing.
Yeah.
And there is something greater. And at the baseline, it's like we all believe that what you put in is what you're going to get out. Even atheists believe that. Do you know what I mean? Like, what you get is what you give. That's the basis of it all. But I think people hear tarot, crystal, incense, and they're just like, down to Salem with her.
Which was probably just due to a fungus in the bread, but still, like, let's get real. But no, I understand. I know that we have to wrap up soon, but I got 2 questions left. Okay, so it seems like a lot of your work is out there to really help support, educate, entertain. What are you hoping for people to get from this next book?
I want them to get that they're more in control of their lives than they're allowed to believe. And you not believing you're in more control of your life actually pays someone else. It's actually the system that props up other things. They desperately need you to believe that you're not in as much control as you really are. They desperately need you to believe that without the systems they've put in place, you're going to crumble. So I really want someone to read Manifesto, finish it, and be like, oh, I'm the captain of this ship. This isn't to say that people don't die and that a diagnosis won't creep up and just tear the life as we know it to shreds. This is to say we get to manage our reaction to every single thing.
And that everything, even algorithms, are essentially human constructs.
Constructs. And it's the people who comment under a thing saying, why has this come up? It's because you've commented. And so now more is going to come up. It's all as fast as you can sweeping on by. You sat here, you've lingered on this video for 10 minutes and you've made a comment. That's all you're going to see for the next 24 hours. Because the algorithm doesn't know how to decode that it's your dislike. Attention is attention, okay? And it's the same with manifesting. Attention is attention. The universe doesn't sit there and be like, oh, is that good or is that bad? It just knows you're focused on this thing, feeling this way. Yeah? So wherever you put the attention, that's where the good thing should hopefully grow, if you're good in spirit and in intuition and intent. But I want someone to close that and be like, okay, how can I turn this around for myself? The issue is, and this is a very privileged thing to say, I'm now coming out the tunnel of physical manifestation, like stuff. So when you're born poor, success is stuff, more stuff, bigger house, bigger bag, lifestyle creep, bigger car. And now I know personally how easy I can manifest more stuff. I'm like, okay, pause. I'm good on the stuff. how do we manifest experiences? How do I manifest attracted, like-minded people?
I was going to say
and
relationships and community, yeah.
You know? Because that is actually the thing that keeps this all spinning. The stuff, it's great. We need the stuff, because another thing I can't bear is when people are like, oh, money doesn't make you happy. Allow people to touch a thing first. It's like kids in nursery. Let them touch it, you know. They'll find out that they don't quite like that texture, or that makes them feel a bit. Let people touch a thing. Don't tell a poor person money doesn't make you happy. That is the most annoying thing.
Yeah.
When your gas meter's going off and it's in E for emergency, which mine always was, don't you dare tell me money.
Well,
it's
health
gonna make
is
me,
wealth, but like in order to, have
do you know what
health,
I mean? Don't allow people to touch a thing. But after you've touched the things that you thought, because it was a thought, we're going to make you truly happy and change your life, the next chapter is like, how do I manifest great relationships and good times? And that's where I'm going into. So I hope people start to understand that even the community around them is dependent on their dreams being manifested. Absolutely. So many of us, metaphorically and literally, are in bed with the opposition.
No, absolutely. And that's why this wine, again, going back to the wine, how does one make the internal with the external harmonious? Because you're not just a disembodied spirit. Yeah. You don't want to just be clinging on to the transient material stuff. So
it's like, how do you bring those two things together?
Yeah.
It's always been for the better. And for someone who completely didn't believe in this stuff at all, which was my literal dad, he has ended up showing up in ways that I'm like, but I thought you said you didn't believe in this stuff. Why are you giving me this message? Just go and drink beer. Just go and do what you're good at. Leave me alone.
I've one final, very serious question. I know that you're a Pisces. Yes. And you are very happily married.
Yeah. To a Pisces.
Oh, I was going to say, do you believe in specific zodiacs being more compatible together than others?
Unfortunately, yes.
You do?
Just because I've been through the ringer, and I think myself and my husband can coexist because we are the two fish going in the opposite directions. If we were Pisces of the same ilk or vibe, I don't think that would work. But I'm very much dream intuition coded, and he's like, logic. And so it
Together
marries really
works.
well. And then my son is a Pisces because he's born on my birthday, and my daughter's a Scorpio. So we have an entire water household, and all three of the Pisces could be having a meltdown, and in comes the Scorpio, like, get your lives together, mate. It ain't that serious. So she's a great balancer for us.
I love that. To the water household. That's so great. Oh, well, before I let you go, I always ask each guest to do this. There's a wine confessional.
Yes, I have mine ready.
So yeah, I love it. I knew you'd be prepared. So I always ask us, do you have like a funny, hilarious, maybe slightly embarrassing story involving wine?
Oh God, yeah. So I get invited to a party that turns out to be a party of Idris Elba. Idris Elba is having a party.
Oh, I thought you meant everyone dressed up as him.
No, it's his party.
Oh, okay, no, that's way better.
He's got a new Netflix release coming out. I've gone to this party, wine, bubbles, everything on tap.
Oh my God.
So, I'm just nervous. I'm someone's plus one every time the tray comes around. Yeah. I'm even closer to Jay-Z's best friend. Jay-Z's best friend's called Tai, little guy. I've got Jay-Z's best friend here. I've got some other celebs there. I'm just like, oh, yeah. In walks Idris, shakes my hand really firm, like, you having a good time? Woo. Babe, the room went black. I don't know what.
No.
I couldn't tell you what the heck happened after that, right? What I do remember, it comes in flashes. The Addy Lee guy is like, get out. I'm like on an A-road. Oh, no. Vomiting my guts.
Oh,
right. No. The next thing I remember is my husband coming out with a hose and starts spraying this Addy Lee down. I have decimated this man's car. Inside, they slapped me with like a £300 cleaning fee. I'm like, my husband carries me in. I am skewed leg by the downstairs toilet. Esme comes downstairs and she's like, well, I'm never drinking in my life ever. I'm being carried up to bed. Someone's taking my lashes off. I've got work the next day. And like the next day at work, I'm filming some fashion content with some great people. And every time they yell cut, I have to run to the bin to vomit. So it's like, yeah, so happy to be cut. Bleh, bleh, bleh. Yeah, well, these trainers are so bit. Bleh, bleh, bleh. And like I ran into Idris 2 weeks ago and he remembered.
No.
He was like, I've seen your face before. And I was like, I'm not having this conversation.
What did you say?
I was like, are you sure? He was like, I never forget a face. And that was the night I learnt bubbles weren't for me. Yeah. Told ya.
That is a contemporary morality tale involving Idris Elba. Yeah, I'd expect, yeah. Okay, no, that carries real weight.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I learnt then also that the acid in vomit strips paint off a car.
No.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm going to have to Google this in UTIs and rosé. I'm learning so much this episode. Well, I'm trying to think of a segue. Is there anything else you would like to tell us about? Promote?
No, just.
I mean, I think everyone needs to order your book.
Yeah,
I'm so
please,
excited
guys.
about your book.
Download, pre-order Manifesto, Unlock the Life You Deserve. Do you know what? Get any of my work, because also Manifesto might not be for you. And I'm that kind of person. I'm not going to try and push something on you if you're not ready or you don't have interest.
Can you tell them quickly about your young adult fiction?
Young adult fiction is a love story. We've got Cynthia and Isaac. Cynthia has been moved from London up to the countryside because her brother has been stabbed to death. So we have very gritty violence, but ultimately a very beautiful love story. Sister is just chock full of essays that I think all women should read. And I'm Not Your Baby Mother really was just groundbreaking work. So there's something for everyone.
It's, as I said, multifaceted, wonderful. Thank you so
Thanks for having me. This has been great.
Candice, thank you for being so open-minded about the wine. All of the wine information, guys, will be in the wine notes with the podcast, but this has been such a pleasure. Thank you so much. Cheers.
Thank you.